Next up, we have a talk by Eddy Touma from Klangoo, and it's called "Should I Publish About the Kardashians?" That's a good question. So, Eddy will be joining us in just a second. He's miking up. Thank you.
Hi. Should I publish about the Kardashians? This question was asked to us in the Middle East at least 100 times the past year. But if you can go. But the real question was not about the Kardashians. It was more about Miriam Kling and Joel Hatem, what we call the Lebanese Kardashians. What we mean by Kardashians here are these sexy, controversial women that lots of tabloid news likes to cover. I'm going to answer this question at the end of the presentation, but I want to tell you that this is one of the triggers that made us present today. The other two things that made me present today are the budget cuts. So this is not changing on time. We're seeing a lot of budget cuts in the online news media. You're seeing Al Jazeera cutting down on jobs. We're seeing Al Akhbar closing down their English website. And then there's also the problems at Future. These are the ones that are publicly discussed, but we are hearing the same problem with almost every media that we're seeing here in the Middle East. The second or the third trigger for this presentation was the fact that we believe most people in the Middle East are still or misinterpreting the way that they're reading the analytics. For example, they are confusing a lot returning visitors versus loyal visitors. A returning visitor, imagine this use case or this case. John is somebody who's surfing now on Facebook. He goes to your website because he saw some shared article. He stays between 10 to 20 seconds maximum, and then he bounces back to Facebook. John might have done this 2 or 3 times in the past 6 months. Is John a loyal user? Did he ever go to your homepage? Did he ever engage with your brand? Does he know your logo? Most probably it's not. And therefore, we cannot consider John as a loyal user, although he is a returning visitor based on Google Analytics and other analytics types of tools. Now, what we consider a loyal user is this 1% that you're seeing here. We did a case study. We took 10 Lebanese news websites, top Lebanese news websites, and then we tracked every single user that comes to their website for a period of 6 months. Look at the numbers. 79%, a staggering 79% of the people that came to these websites read only 1 or 2 articles within 6 months. So we're talking about 79% that came from social media and never engaged really with your brand. 15% read 3 to 9 articles within 6 months. 5% read between 10 and 99 articles within 6 months. And finally, only 1%, actually this number is 0.58%, but we rounded up, read more than 99 articles. This shows you that really your loyal users are most probably 1% of your total. But the importance of this 1%, we're going to describe it later. Go to the next slide. We dig deeper into these analytics, and we wanted to see how this is affecting your page views. So the contribution of each of these different categories of profiles, how many page views in terms of percentage they are generating. The 79% are generating only 26% of your total page views. 15%, the ones that read between 3 and 9 articles within 6 months, generated 20% of the total page views. The 5%, the ones that read between 10 and 99, these are the frequent visitors to your website, they read 34%, or they contributed 34% to your page views. And finally, the 1%, this 1% contributed to 20% of your total page views. Click. So if we were to combine the first two, the frequent and the very loyal users, we're looking at more than 50%. 54% of your total page views are being generated by only 6% of your total visitors. 20% are generating 74%, which is the 15, 5, and 1. Well, actually, it's 21%. But this 21% is generating 74% of your total page views. If you look at this, it's inversely proportional, basically. 79% generating 26% of your page views versus 20% of your profiles are generating 74% of your total page views. Now, this was, these three triggers led me to, talk about the lack in strategic long-term vision, especially in the majority of Levant and GCC news websites. The fact that they cannot answer the first question, should I publish about the Kardashians? The fact that there are budget cuts that are affecting them and there's no solution for it, apparently for them. And the third is the misinterpretation and misconception about the analytics they're reading. Excuse me. By majority here, of course, we're not meaning everybody. There are exceptions. Lots of news websites are really doing good in terms of strategy. But we believe the causes for this lack in strategic long-term vision, first of all, is political funding. You see these two camps that there is lots of tension. They are engaged with direct or indirect wars, and they're minimizing their investment into media because they are already engaged in war. The second problem that we're seeing that is affecting media is the fact that CPC in this region is rather low. Yes, we are a smaller consumer market. Yes, the marketing budgets these years are being very minimal, again, because of the instability in the region. But we're seeing 40 to 81% less CPC values versus the US. The third cause is generally the underdevelopment of this market. We are still lagging in terms of the shift from print monetization to digital monetization versus the other parts of the world. They are moving, or they're concentrating into the move from digital monetization into mobile monetization. The second thing is the reliance on web development companies. We see that a lot in the region. Online news media are depending on web development companies to provide them with strategies for their online news websites. These two expertise are different, and you shouldn't mix. Online newsrooms, almost unheard of. Lots of the news media in the region, they are assigning the same editors that used to run their print media into running their online media. And again, these are two different experiences. The user experience is different, the technology is different, and also we're seeing that most of the news media in the Arab world, they don't have the real-time newsrooms, similar to what Huffington Post, similar to what Wall Street Journal and others have. This real-time aspect is extremely important for online news. If you wanted to measure how developed you are as a publisher in the Middle East versus the premium publishers worldwide, you can look at this scale. If you are still looking at Alexa ranking and you believe this is the KPI you should track against, or if you're looking at only page views as your main KPI and the increase in page views makes you successful, you're still a rookie. If you moved a little bit higher and you started looking at sharing on social media and also social referrals, you'll be better off. You're going on the right track. You're starting to understand where do millennials and Generation Z are engaging with news, but you're still an amateur. If you started learning about SEO and real SEO, not just the tagging part, the real value and how to improve on SEO, and also newsletter reach, at this point in time, you have understood that there are different channels that generate traffic back to your website. And these channels are much smarter than just the social media aspect. At this point in time, you're a professional. If you start learning about bounce rate and really understanding what it entails, and also time spent on site, then you are a world-class player. You now understand the importance of loyalty of users, the time spent on site, how to manage these different referral channels from the sharing on social media, from SEO, from search, and from newsletters. And you're now understanding that you need to maximize on the time spent on site in order to improve on your click-through rates for advertising. Finally, devices and loyal users and the retention of registered users makes you a premium client or a premium online news media. Why we're concentrating on these three? Devices are extremely important these days. This is the main focus of international media. What to surface for each different type of user. On mobile, the experience is different than tablet and then desktop. You need to manage these three in different ways. Second, loyal users. You saw the importance of loyal users in terms of generating page views. The 1% generating 20%, the 6% generating 54% of your total page views. So this is very important. And whenever you have loyal users, you can transfer these or shift them into registered users, whether be it on paywall or just signed up using newsletter or other things. And these particular people you need to retain. It's one thing to sign up somebody, but it's another thing to give them the right things so that they engage with you, and next year they're gonna re-sign up with you or extend their sign-up period. This slide is just showing you a little bit about how the Levant GCC digital media is comparing to the market leaders. So we saw the focuses in the previous slide on the different levels. These were mostly for the Arab world and for the Middle East. However, internationally, these are the keywords, or these are the main strategies, the main focus of all the strategies of international media. Personalization, video, because of their high CPC and CPM value, mobile monetization, opting in or opting out from platforms like instant articles, AMP compatibility, the Google AMP compatibility, wearables, how to use wearables for alerts and how to monetize wearables, predictive analytics, how to predict if a particular title or if a particular article will get lots of page views and people will engage with it or not. And finally, market consolidation. I don't know if you've heard that IBM purchased weather.com, which is a media company. So lots of these consolidations are happening every single day in the market. What we believe you should do, if you consider yourself any of the levels that we mentioned before, the rookie, the amateur, the professional, and so on. If you are in any of these stages and you're not yet a premium client, you need to go back to the drawing board and basically start knowing thyself. The first thing is to clearly define your goal. This is something that we're seeing with majority of Middle Eastern companies. They don't know their goal. It could be a political goal, a political message that you're trying to basically communicate. It could be simply monetization. You're looking at your brand as a monetization tool and you want to grow your company. But whichever is your goal, you need to define it and you need to define it fast. The second thing, whenever you define your goal, it's very easy to find out who your target audience is in terms of demographics and in terms of interest. Whenever you define your target audience, you can define, at that point in time, the strategy. We're seeing people just jumping straight into strategy and trying to figure out what's the target audience and what's their goal. This is not the way to do it. After strategy, you need to define the right KPIs in order to track on this or measure up on this strategy. Then you have the monitoring tools in order to allow you to monitor these KPIs. Finally, you assess if these tools and these KPIs that you put in are leading, and the strategy are leading to your goal, and they're helping you in achieving what you wanted. Here, we're not talking something new. This is not new at all. Okay, this is not new at all. What we're showing here is a typical company's cycle. Everybody needs to define a goal and go through these stages. The goal usually is the owner's decision, so you would know this very fast. You should be able to learn this very fast. Versus the strategy, you need a digital media professional. We really we really recommend that you guys hire either a digital media professional internally or a company that knows about digital media. Do not rely on web development companies and do not rely on the same people that ran print to run your online business. These digital media professionals know how to get the right tools, social media tools, KPI analytics tools, and also content advertising tools. And there is also our own product, Magnet. I want to introduce here our product very quickly. It's not the main topic, but it's good to know who we are and what we represent. So our company's name is Klangoo. K stands for knowledge, Lang for language, so knowledge and language. And the U is just a Silicon Valley thing. This is Yahoo, Google. It made sense for us to have this. We are a mix of artificial intelligence researchers and digital publishing experts. We are an MEVP portfolio company. We operate out of 3 countries, Lebanon, Amsterdam, Netherlands, and US, New York. We have clients using our engine, Magnet, in 14 countries, and we're growing to another 14, 100% growth within 2016. What does Magnet do? Magnet is a semantic engine that understands a piece of text written in any of the 53 languages we support. It's based on a technology that we spent 11 years in making, and based on this technology, we have developed lots of tools that can help you as a publisher drive smart traffic, engage visitors longer, and understand your audience. These are the 3 pillars that are extremely important whenever you're doing your strategy. You need to cater to these 3. Driving smart traffic is through SEO. You need to have good SEO. You need to allow your users to follow a particular story. You need to send personalized newsletters, not just newsletters. Engaging visitors longer. Whenever somebody is on your website, he's reading something. You need to give him relevant things to what he's reading right now, and you need to give him some personalized content based on what he's read before, collaborative learning algorithms, what other people that read like him read after that, and so on. And understanding your audience, I'm going to show you a report just to explain how we're doing things. What you're seeing down here is the topics, the top topics that one of our particular clients, this is in Europe, wrote about. So the top published articles, you see them in blue, and then we're comparing this to the consumption on these topics. Whatever you're seeing here not necessarily existed in the text. So for example, US economy did not exist in the text or in every text. If you're talking about unemployment rates in US, our engine identifies that this is the same topic as US economy. And these reports are extremely important for both your editorial team and your social media team. They are using them to, for example, understand that The Voice in Netherlands and its failure was very important, so entertainment news is important. They are looking at them also to identify that even on business websites, like this one, you have a pattern that people follow. So after reading 2 to 3 articles of serious news, people are shifting into reading something like about The Voice, so entertainment news. We're improving on all sorts of KPIs because our solution is holistic. So we're improving page views, bounce rate, time spent on site, search engine-driven visits, and loyalty of users. Loyalty of users is increasing by 20%. This is the most important part because you remember the pie chart that I showed at first. 79% of your users are reading 2 to 3 articles. These are the 20% that we're shifting. So we're taking 20% out of the 79% and shifting them into the other buckets. And this is extremely important in terms of, helping you on all your KPIs. Finally, I want to try to answer this question. Should I publish about the Kardashians? Again, we go back to the strategy. If you know your target audience, if you know what your strategy is, if you know what your goal is, you should be able to determine and answer this question yourself. I don't go to CNN, for example, to read about sexual health, which is a very common topic in Lebanon, apparently on news websites. And whenever Wall Street Journal wanted to cover Kardashians, they wrote about a business-related story. They wrote about how the Kardashians brand affected and increased the retail price of one of the houses that was owned by the Kardashians. 2 more, show them both, okay. These two statistics give you a better idea also about the Lebanese market to answer this question. We're seeing that Lebanese top news brands, so these are brands that have existed at least 5 to 7 years ago and still exist in Lebanon, are experiencing a bounce rate and exit rates of above 80%. Check your Google Analytics. If you're in news media, whenever you write about Miriam Klink, about any of these Kardashian type of women, you're seeing an above 80% rate because people do not expect to read about them on your website. Versus new Lebanese online news media, and there's a bunch of them, so if you've been there only for 2 to 3 years, you're still defining for your audience what is your goal and what to expect on your website. You're seeing very normal bounce and exit rates on such articles. So each one can answer the question depending on his own target audience. Thank you. Thank you for Arabnet for inviting us. Thank you for attending.